Lagos lawmakers react to Court of Appeal judgment on National Inland Waterways Act. Plus, as Lagos finally gains control of its waterways, we take a look at its significance and efforts of the Lagos State House of Assembly in its fight for power to manage its waterways. We have details coming up. Glad to have you join us on another episode of Lagos Parliament, the program that brings the activities of Lagos legislators to your TV screen. I'm a regular host, Abimbola Agbebi. Now, last week, our focus was on the release of the students of Igbonla Model College in Epe area of Lagos, as well as the efforts put in place by the Lagos State House of Assembly in bringing the activities of kidnappers within the metropolis to an end. Well, this week we'll be shifting our focus to another burning issue that has drawn the attention of the Lagos State House of Assembly at its plenaries. This is Lagos Parliament. I welcome you once again.
Get closer to your legislators. See them in action as they deliberate on moving the state forward. Watch updates on weekly events, presentation of bills, passage of laws, adoption of resolutions, and many more. Also, get a chance to meet the lawmaker of the week and watch the legislators. Observe plenary in Yoruba language. Lagos Parliament, every Thursday 7:30 p.m. and Sunday 11 a.m. respectively on TVC News Nigeria and TVC Entertainment. Lagos Parliament, bringing the legislators closer to you.
Monday the 18th of July, the Court of Appeal in Lagos allowed the appeal of the Lagos State government on certain sections of the Nigerian Inland Waterways Act, which had for many years limited the state's control of the activities going on its waterways. But just before we let you into the details of that court's judgment, we'd like you to see one of the deliberations of the Lagos State House of Assembly, where the lawmakers unanimously called for the amendment of the controversial NIWA Act of 2004.
What this motion is discussing, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, is that we're talking of land. What NIWA does is this. They control the waterways vis-a-vis the judgment. They now give right to people 100 meters into the edge of the water. So Lagos State government cannot control 100 meters at both sides of its waterways. Meaning into land, people can dredge, put their stuff on it, people can build anything. NIWA can put warehouse and so on and so forth along that. And it's not just Lagos State, all over the country.
Our inner waterways belongs to Lagos State government. The management, the environmental challenges we are having are Lagos State government problems. But you cannot, NIWA is just there creating problems for us, and they're not ready to help us. So, in fact, I want to go beyond amending this law. NIWA law is an aberration. It should be abrogated because we are a federation, and as such, Lagos State should be able to manage its waterways inside Lagos State.
The most problems that we have encountered as a state on our waterways, the NIWA in question and federal government has not been of help. Somebody has mentioned the robbery case, the kidnapping case, and dredging, even the shipwreck abandoned on our shore.
And now that the Lagos Court of Appeal has finally decided to set aside the Federal High Court's judgment, which gave the Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, power to regulate the activities on Lagos Inland Waterways.
From what you said,
lawmakers in the State House of Assembly gave their reactions to the Court of Appeal judgment, which gives the state power to take charge of its waterways. Their reactions came shortly after the Lagos governor applauded the development.
And sincerely, from my own point of view, this insecurity issue we are having in Lagos State, most of them, over 80% right now as I speak to you, is from the waterways. Even some of the armed robbery attack that is happening, they are coming through the waterways. And this issue of that the waterways is just being controlled by the federal government only is a challenge. So that judgment for us is a big relief.
That judgment is a landmark judgment that will go a long way to shaping so many things in the country. You understand? A lot of things were erroneously put in the concurrent list, and we should naturally be on the residual list. And for federal government to control inland waterways across the country, the question is, morally, what is the strength? What is the staff strength? What is the resources available? Lagos State government has been the one scoping, cleaning the waterways. But when it comes to revenue generations, they now wants to bring the newer act. But thank God, the Court of Appeal has set that judgment aside. The Lagos State government should go ahead, clean the water, control the water, and control the activities along its waterway. And that's the welcome development.
And joining us on the program to talk about the Lagos waterfront as well as the recent judgment delivered by the Court of Appeal in Lagos, which now gives the Lagos State government the power to control its inland waterways to the exclusion of the federal government, is the Chairman House Committee on Waterfront Infrastructure, Honorable Bolahon Yishao. Let's go on this time out, and when we come back, the discussions will begin.
Get closer to your legislators. See them in action as they deliberate on moving the state forward. Lagos Parliament, bringing the legislators closer to you.
Yes, we are the Federal Civil Service Club Jetty in Ikoyi area of Lagos, and I have here with me the lawmaker representing Etiosa Constituency 2 in the Lagos State House of Assembly. I told you earlier that he is also the Chairman House Committee on Waterfront Infrastructure, Honorable Bolahon Yishao. It's nice to have you on the show, sir.
Good to be here. You're welcome to Etiosa Constituency 2.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to be talking about the Lagos waterfront. How has it been on the Lagos waterfront? What has been the issues the Lagos State government have had to contend with through the years?
Over time, one of the major problems we've had with the waterways is the regulation of dredging companies. That's one. Issues of security, which everybody's aware of, and also accidents on the waterways. You understand? Basically because our waterways have not been, put it this way, properly regulated due to some hiccups, should I say handicap, from some court judgment we got in 2014, which is against us. So we've not been able to actually take full control of our waterways. But as our governor is doing, Governor Akin Miyambode, is ensured that we're empowering the marine police to ensure further security on the waterways. We've also commenced dredging of our waterways called channelization, you understand, to open up the waterways to ensure that there is enough draft for boat and other form of water vessels to be able to move around the waterways. Remember there was a time there used to be quite a number of accidents on the road, so we're on top of that now.
All right, I want us to talk a little bit about the judgment delivered on the 28th of March in the year 2014 by the Federal High Court in Lagos. What was the content of that court judgment?
Basically, in a nutshell, what that court judgment did was to restrain Lagos State government, including agencies, from enforcing any form of, you understand, any form of regulation, you understand, on the waterways. And that's a big problem. So basically that's what the judgment did. It restrained us, you understand, from carrying out the legitimate duty of government, which is to protect life and property within the state.
Well, that said, now the recent judgment delivered by the Court of Appeal has decided to set aside that judgment, which kind of gives the Lagos State government the power to control its waterways, right?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
That judgment is welcome. It is well needed. But before we continue, let's go on the boat and let me show you some of our waterways in Lagos. Safety first. You have to put on your life jacket.
Yes.
Can I have this for her?
Okay. Can I put it on?
Let me see. Let me help you out with that.
Thank you.
This up. Yeah, like a jacket. Okay.
Okay, this way,
Zip
and this way, and this way. So we're
You need
good.
to lock this in.
Then I guess we are good
pass
to...
this through your legs.
Okay, which one? This?
Spread the legs.
I don't think it can.
That's it.
Swing. And then, where do I fix this? Here?
Onto this.
So, I guess we are good to go. All right. Help
Let me go in first so I can help. There you are.
So do I call this some kind of boat cruise?
This is our local boat, you understand? This is what is very prevalent in this environment, you understand? They use them for transportation, they use them in crossing. This one carries 16 passengers. Everybody has to be on a life jacket to be on this boat.
I think traveling on water is actually faster than road.
Of course, definitely, because you know you can travel almost straight line across the water. It's like take the distance crossing from Ikoyi to Victoria Island now. This will take us less than 2 minutes to cross. But if you have to go via roads, traffic and so on, then you don't take a straight line.
Now earlier we were talking about the recent judgment delivered by the Court of Appeal in Lagos, which now gives the Lagos State government the power to control its waterways. Now, for the benefit of viewers who do not know where this whole issue started from, can you just give us some kind of background to how it started, how the issue started between the Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority and the Lagos State Waterways Authority back then in the year 2012?
Actually, what happened, I think, was May 2012. Was actually the association, the trustees of the Association of Tourists and Boat Operators with the trustees of the Association of Dredgers, the dredging companies, and I think there's one other association involved. This association too went to court and asked the court to determine who is the rightful authority between NIWA and the Lagos State government, basically. So that's the beginning of the case. And the court decided it was NIWA, the federal government, that had the authority. That's at the Federal High Court, that the federal government had the authority to collect and restrained Lagos State government in court and all its agencies from carrying out that activity. That was the beginning of the case. I think the judgment was in March, 28th of March, 2014. The moment the judgment of the Federal High Court was set aside, it means we are back to how it was, you understand? And how was it? Lagos State was regulating its waterways and regulating all activities of dredging within the state.
Now, to what extent does the Lagos State government has control of its waterways?
Basically, the court judgment is all about the state having control over their inland waterways, you understand? The federal government can still have control over the designated international routes and interstate routes, you understand? So Lagos State government now has control of its inland waterways. And like our governor said, it gives us the opportunity to be able to enforce, you understand, what our regulations on water, to be able to bring the people together, to cooperate with government so that they will be able to have viable economic activities on water without destroying the ecological system within the state. You've seen all the flooding that we are having in Lagos. And some of them are due to activities of illegal, uncoordinated dredging activities on our waterways. But we need to regulate it properly so that Lagos State will benefit appropriately from that activity. So this judgment, as His Excellency has said, is giving us the opportunity to manage our state.
All right, sir, the fact that the Lagos State government lost at the Federal High Court and then they won at the Court of Appeal. Now, what if the federal government decide to take the case to the Supreme Court? Are you optimistic that the Lagos State government will still win this case?
Well, for me, I am very optimistic because the judgment of the appeal court was very clear, very specific, you understand? It's not just because it was in the interest to the benefit of Lagos State government, but you can see they set out the entire process, the entire jurisdiction as it should be. Because when you look at this matter, it's not Lagos State alone. All other states that do have waterways are also involved. I'm sure the Supreme Court will do the needful, the rightful thing.
Now, I know in the last few months, your committee has been on oversight functions, trying to see how the waterfronts are faring. What should the expectations of the residents of Lagos be with regards to your duty as the Chairman House Committee on Waterfront, trying to ensure that everything is working just fine with regards to the waterfront?
Well, we are already having outcomes of some of our oversight. Oversight started since 2016 when we took office. Some of the jetties we're seeing the government put in place is a function of oversight. The channelization of the waterways is part of oversight that we've done. There's a terminal, the state terminal coming up at Oworoshoki. The one at Ekpe is already sand-filled. We're doing the shoreline protection of it now. There's another one at Badagry that has been, the shoreline is completed. It's just building the structure on the waterfront. We're trying to open up your waterways to ensure that you get the best from your government and from your environment.
Now, moving on, can we have some kind of a sneak peek into what the Lagos State government intends to do with its waterways by way of exploring its water transportation?
I mentioned earlier, the Lagos ferry has been activated, and I can assure you Lagos State has committed itself to the water transportation business. It's not only land, the terminals are there, the sweeping of the waterways, which is called channelization, is also there. You understand? Which is the duty.
No, still talking about this court judgment. What does it mean for both operators in Lagos and indeed dredging companies with regards to the Lagos State Waterways Authority law?
Well, there's the Lagos State Waterways Authority law. There's also the Lagos State Waterfront Infrastructure law. Okay. You understand? The boat operators, the tourist association, the dredging companies, as they have their various trustees that actually initiated this case this matter at the Federal High Court. The implication of this judgment to them now is that they should obey Lagos State laws. All the laws of Lagos State vis-a-vis waterways, waterfront, dredging, and any other activity on water.
Okay, let's talk about the Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority. Now, do you have any reservations with this newer act?
I have my opinion of the newer act, because the newer act in itself was, let me put it this way, was Decree 13 of 1997. And you know the decree is the military law. And even though it has been made into a law in 2000, an act in 2004, it was the entire decree was lifted hook, line and sinker and made into a law in 2004 by our National Assembly. Of course, they have the powers to make those acts. They made into an act. So the Land Use Act now is like a constitutional act, you understand? On its own. On its own. And in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, states that it will have its full force, you understand? So no act anywhere can say notwithstanding the Land Use Act, meaning that the newer act, to the extent which it is inconsistent with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because if the Constitution is saying every item in this law is enforceable in full, and there's an act somewhere saying that notwithstanding that, that means the newer act is inconsistent with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, meaning that the newer act cannot stand. I hope you understand what I'm saying. The newer act is inconsistent with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, vis-a-vis where the Land Use Act is. So I don't see why newer would claim that they have 100 meters of land perpendicular to water, when the Land Use Act says that on land belongs.
That has been the long-standing issue.
It is an issue. So I believe that the state government should find interpretation, which we have by a resolution that was passed on the floor, should find an interpretation to that particular section of the Constitution, vis-a-vis.
As the Chairman of the Committee on Waterfront, are you satisfied with that court judgment?
With the court judgment? Well, the court has spoken within the limits of their understanding, interpretation of them, which is their right, you understand? And
the bone of contention is still with the newer act.
You know, technically what the court has said is that the state has powers to legislate over its intra. There's some section, I think section 5 of Schedule 2 of the newer act stated some routes from Badagry to Lagos Lagoon to Ekpe that is designated as international routes, you understand? That's fine for navigation purpose, you understand? But I believe that the issue of dredging, maintenance of inland waterways, and so on and so forth should be left to the states. You have a typical example in what happened with the International Airport Road. That is a federal road, but you find that Lagos State is maintaining it. You understand? And it is, you know, we believe in true fiscal federalism. You understand? I don't see why federal government owns roads within various states of the federation. I don't see why federal government want to come and be patrolling waterways that are internal to I mean, look at where we are sitting now. This is the 5 Cowrie Creek. What right over there is the international route. You can see the ship coming in through Takwa Bay to Apapa and Tinka. Yeah, I agree. That's international. But what has this route got to do with international waterways, or is it an interstate waterway? Lagos State should have full authority over this waterway to maintain it, to ensure that free flow of vessels. So
what can the state do to get to that point where it can now control every of its waterways?
It is the same question. It's just devolution of powers. The National Assembly must vote for devolution of powers. You understand? States must be in total control, you understand, of their environment. Look at the indiscriminate dredging activities that is going on within the state now, simply because the national, in quote, for over 2 years, almost 3 years now, has been the one managing. They don't even have the capacity.
You would agree with me that several kidnap cases that we've recorded in the state, these kidnappers have had a smooth sail through the waterways. Now, looking at this judgment, do we see this judgment reducing the activities of kidnappers using the waterways as an escape route?
Technically, it can.
Because when I heard about the court judgment, what came to my mind is safety on waterways. Is this going to bring about the so desired safety that Lagos residents have been praying to have on its waterways?
Technically, it can, you understand. But don't forget that the issue of the security is still under federal government, you understand. Who patrols the waterways, the marine police, is the federal government. Lagos State, what we've done is to buy them equipment, boats, you understand, to shore up their infrastructure so that they will be able to perform. But where I say technically it can is that if all states, because you're looking at this judgment for Lagos State alone, it's not for Lagos State alone, it's across the nation. If all states take control of their inland, intra-inland waterways, you understand, the so-called kidnappers who navigate the waterways from state to state, you understand, which is now the interstate, which NIWA is supposed to patrol, you understand. By the time NIWA misses it, the state may be able to, you understand, to nip it in the bud, because they won't have free flows in those states. But if NIWA, the same NIWA has control over all the entire channel, the entire channels across it, it's tough, you understand? And that's what we're saying. But not everybody is focusing Lagos. It's not only Lagos. Rivers has its own waterway. The different states have their own waterways. After all, our children here that were kidnapped, we found them in Ondo State. You understand? Ondo State. You know, the water is connected quite all right. But if you can manage them in silos, state by state, put in resources there to manage it, it's better than having one very heavy centralized system, you understand, that is trying to manage the entire. And they've shown that they don't have the capacity to do this.
Looking at the reaction we got from the Lagos State governor, I could see this joy and excitement in the governor. He's actually celebrating that judgment, you know, for him. I think it's kind of a feat.
Yeah, it is a feat. It is a feat because, as I told you, with the earlier judgment of the lower court, which is the Federal High Court, we were restrained, shackled from discharging our responsibility to the citizens of Lagos. So as a governor that cares, a performing governor, a governor that has the interest of Lagosians at heart, being unshackled, you understand, having that shackle broken, and he's able to now act, to put the state money where his mouth is, you understand, to respond to the yearnings of Lagosians. I think it's something of great joy to him, and I assume any other governor that has been voted overwhelmingly by his people, and the responsibilities on his shoulders to give them the dividend of democracy, it will be the same reaction.
All right, so as the Chairman of the Committee on Waterfront Infrastructure, what would your message be to the residents of Lagos with regards to this recent court judgment, which now gives the Lagos State government the power to control its inland waterways?
My message to Lagosians is that flooding is real, we've experienced it, and how do our waterways get blocked? We throw refuse into our waterways. I'm appealing to them. Your gutter is not your dustbin. It's not to cut away your debt. Like the governor, our governor, Mr. Kimu Ambode, I'm very excited too, you understand, because the more the executive does, the more oversight we'll have. So my message to Lagosians is they should go about carrying out, the Boat Dredger and Tourist Association should go about carrying out their lawful duties. They should obey the laws of Lagos State, as the courts have said. Lagos State House of Assembly has the right to make those laws for them. We have made those laws in their interest and the larger good of all residents of Lagos State, citizens of Lagos State. So they should just stay within the law and obey the law. And they should know that we are working for them and we're here to serve them.
I must thank you so much for coming on the show, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
From
the entire people of Itiosa constituency too, I thank you for making time to come here.
Yeah, and I've been chatting with the Chairman House Committee on Waterfront Infrastructure. He's also the lawmaker representing Itiosa constituency 2 in the Lagos State House of Assembly. And we've been talking about the issues surrounding the Lagos waterfront, as well as the recent judgment delivered by the Court of Appeal in Lagos, which now gives the Lagos State government the power to control its inland waterways. Thank you so much for coming once again.
Thank you.
And the program continues shortly. Please stay with us.
Get closer to your legislators. See them in action as they deliberate on moving the state forward. Lagos Parliament, bringing the legislators closer to you.
And with that, we've come to the end of the program this week. We thank you for staying with us. Till I come your way again next week, remember you can watch previous episodes of Lagos Parliament on www.youtube.com/TVZ News Nigeria. I am Abimbola Agbebi. Bye for now.